Hey, Lee Robinson here from American Sentinel K9. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. We're going to try to make this video again. Yes, this is take two because honestly, what I'm going to discuss in this video is not easy for me to discuss. There's so many different things running through my brain that it's hard for me to deliver a good flow of the content. So I think because there are so many topics, I've decided to call this episode one because we're going to have multiple episodes on things that need to be discussed in the canine community and in our community as a whole. And we're going to just have to break those into different videos. Okay. Now, this one I said, I need your help. The reason why I'm saying I need your help here is because I have noticed over the last few years a multitude of problems, not only in the canine community, but also in the world as a whole, not just in America, but across the world. And, I ask myself, why did I get into dogs to begin with? What is my goal? Well, my goal is to live a life that honors my creator, but also to pass on a good world to the next generation, to my children. I want my children to grow up in a world where they are able to pursue their goals and dreams and live in peace and harmony and also honor their creator. And I hate to say over the last 5 to 10 years, things have taken a major downfall, in my opinion. 2019, 2020, ever since we had that pandemic going around that the government doesn't even like us to talk about, I've noticed that the skill set and work ethic of people and honesty of people has severely, severely declined. People got given checks to stay at home. They got comfortable working at home, and they no longer um, seem to be telling the truth or delivering on effort like they would prior to that. Even before then, however, I noticed that there was some downfall for a while. I would say since 2010, 2015, somewhere around there, our society has really taken a collapse. The amount of drug abuse that we have in this nation is through the roof, whether it be drugs or alcohol, both. People love to escape their problems. They don't like to work hard and they don't honor their word anymore. The amount of people that I have wanting to buy the best dog I have and have no concerns at all about me needing to keep top picks to maintain the program. They don't care about that. They just want the best dog that they can have, and even worse, they don't want to pay for it. They want to promise to make payments in the future. And if you occasionally give in to such a person, they almost always don't deliver their word. They want me to honor every single aspect of my word, which I have to do because I answer to my creator. But they don't. They don't honor their word. And that's disheartening. It's it's disheartening because I want to help my clients because I'm trying to build a team. I'm trying to build a community. But yet many of these clients want the best for themselves so they can become a breeder. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to invest and develop the knowledge. They don't want to pay their dues and build up what's required to really be an expert at their craft. That's not what I'm about. I'm trying to, I'm a breeder first, a trainer second. Actually, first, I'm a servant of God and my family and my community. Then I'm a breeder, and then I'm a trainer. The training to me comes last, and it's something because that I've tried to develop an understanding of in order to have proper evaluations. I'm not trying to take an individual through a bunch of school in order to maximize its ability to comply to different commands in different scenarios. What I'm looking for is the ability to learn and the ability to learn quickly, the desire to engage and do so with great enthusiasm, the ability to balance strength, endurance, stamina, agility, power, stability, nerves, all of these different things, because I'm trying to optimize not one trait, I'm trying to optimize the entire animal. Display good ethics, honor your word, expect more from the community. Expect the canine community to be professional. Let it be family oriented type of events. Get rid of the drugs and the alcohol. Okay, it's everywhere. It doesn't need to be everywhere. YouTube is flooded with accounts from people that are experts in social media, but they don't know their content. They don't have any background in animal behavior or husbandry or training or proof of concept. Don't tell me that huff and puff and bluff is enough, but then complain that our dogs bite the forearm. All right, we wear protection equipment so the person that's doing the bite work doesn't get hurt. We're not trying to harm the animals. You'll notice that our plastic bat is not just a wiffle ball bat, it's a big fat bubble wiffle ball bat. When we hit that, you get that black bat that's this big around, it's plastic, it squashes like a balloon. Okay, it's not hurting the animal. It's a psychological evaluation to see if how the dog responds under psychological pressure. It's got rocks in it that makes it rattle. We cut the plastic open, put some rocks in it, and plastic welded it closed so you can shake the bat and it rattles. That's to provide a startling mental stress to see how the dog responds to psychological pressure. When we use the padded whip, if we hit the dog with the padded part of the stick, it's got foam around the fiberglass inner part. The foam pads that so that it doesn't hit the dog too hard, and that's wrapped with leather. So you see a black stick. What it is, it's a leather wrap around a piece of foam that's around a piece of fiberglass. The only part of that that causes any pain would be the tassel, and the tassel is not going to do any real damage. It might stimulate pain, of course, but it's not going to break any bones. It's not going to bust any hides. It's not going to cause any damage to the dog. And then even then, we're going to be mindful about how we use it. We're not going to hit them in the face with it where it could hit them in the eyeball. Okay, so we don't want to tassel to injure the dog. We want to make sure that our dogs come out completely uninjured, and we're just testing at worst case scenario, the pain threshold of the whip maybe on their flank or their hind quarter or their shoulder. The padded stick could be used on their shoulder or across their rib cage, but it's not going to cause any injury. And all the best cases, we're just basically testing their mental capacities. And a lot of people don't understand this, but I'm going to go back and ask myself, why did I get into this to begin with? Well, the truth of it is I just wanted a better animal. The wolves and coyotes that we see in society. Remember, I used to work at the Cincinnati Zoo. I had my hands on went to wolf parks and had my hands on wolves and things like that. I got to see and evaluate behavior, and I knew that what the animal was in the wild was vastly superior to domesticated counterparts. When I would go for a hike back when I was in college, I noticed that I had to stop with my dogs. I had Akita back then, and because they would get hot and tired, and they would need to lay under the shade tree or get into the creek to cool off. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I remember when I was a child, we had a golden retriever that had to take, what was it, sodium pentobarbital or whatever it was for epilepsy. That was a golden retriever when I was like 10 years old, that my parents had bought. And I had one of my Akita had epilepsy. This is the dog that my parents bought from a breeder. I felt like, why are we having all these health problems, all these hip problems, all these heart problems, all these, whatever it may be, these issues that the wild counterparts don't have, and yet they can hunt and jump and all that kind of stuff? It's because breeders had lowered the bar. So when I hear a breeder that's talking about how great they are, but their dogs have tumors when they're 3 years old, I don't want to hear how great you are. Okay, you breed enough animals, you're going to occasionally have some issues, but what's the norm of what you produce? That needs to be an anomaly, like 1%. A health problem needs to be 1%, not the norm. And when I look back I had two Akita. One had epilepsy. I had one golden retriever. One had epilepsy. So out of the three dogs that I had growing up, two of them had epilepsy. One of them had a heart problem. Only one of the Akita was healthy and a sound animal. One out of three dogs that I had was healthy as a child. That's ridiculous. Okay, that is absolutely ridiculous. I am pleased to say in the 26 years of breeding, I can count on my hands the number of dogs that we have had that have had health issues. So, let's say 10 out of 2,000, that's pretty darn good odds. Remember, out of 2,000, 20 would be 1%. So what I'm talking about is like less than 1%. I would say that's pretty good. Okay. Um, anyway, why did I get into the dogs? It was because it was a passion. I made my living teaching biology. I made my living teaching genetics. But then, even in the 90s, when I was getting my education, I was training dogs. Okay. And I was working my dogs and I wanted better. So that's why I became a breeder. I don't like it when I go to events and people are drunk or they're people that are displaying terrible immoral behavior. We see it everywhere. I hate to say this in my video because this is not what my video is about, but I saw a statistic that said 1 out of every 4 women, 1 out of 5 between the ages of 18 and 25 are now on OnlyFans. Our society is collapsing, y'all. Okay, we need to pass on a world to our children that is worth living in. We, as husbands, fathers, men, we need to demand better from our families, our children, our wives, ourselves. We need to demand better. When you give somebody your word, you need to honor your word. You need to remember, what is the purpose in life? Is your purpose in life just to lie and make a buck? I have no affiliates with any product that we endorse. Take Grit and Still, for example, an excellent product. They make leashes and collars. Why do I like their product? I like their product because I don't have to make leashes and collars anymore. I did it because I expected a collar to be made correctly. They make a good collar. You can go to Grit and Still and you type in ASC5 and you get 5% off. Guess what? I get nothing. I told them I don't want an affiliate because that means I'm trying to sell something for my name. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want my customers to get 5% off instead of me getting 5%. I want my customers to get 10% off instead of me getting 5 and they get 5. I don't want anything except for endorsing a product that I believe in. Okay? Because good quality products and good quality service needs to be rewarded. The people behind good products and good services need to be rewarded because otherwise they're going to die out. And when they die out, we've got all these scammers online trying to make a buck. If you buy something from Grit and Steel or Potagen, which they have a supplement, Potagen is a product that was sent to me for me to test. I've tried it with my dog. I have 30 dogs, y'all. I have 30 dogs. For me to see a product make an impact on my dogs, I would have to feed it for months. I can't give them an endorsement just because I'm going to get an affiliate. What I can do is look at the ingredients in that product, look at the peer reviews on how those products impact animals over time and see that the product does have beneficial health benefits. But I'm not going to give it an affiliate to make a buck because let's be realistic here. Even if I sold tons of it, what am I going to make? $100? Do you think I'm going to sell my name for $100? I'm not going to do it. I'll just say this product has ingredients that seems to be beneficial, or this collar seems to be well made. And if there's going to be any savings, just give it to my customer. I don't want any money for it because the people that own these companies are people that I respect. They do their due diligence, they do their homework, and they're providing a good product or a good service to our viewers. My job is to provide you a healthy animal. My job as a trainer, if you hire me as a trainer, is to provide good training. It's not my job to just get $1 from you and give you nothing in return. In fact, I need to give you everything that I said I was going to give and then maybe even a little more. That's what my customers need to do. I only bring that up because that's what I want to do. When I am providing a dog or a service to somebody, I want to do everything that I've asked and then more. I'm disappointed to say that we just don't see that in our society anymore. Ever since 2019, cars are no longer made to the same standards that they were in the 2000s. My Toyota Tundra, 2004, has got 378,000 miles on it. All I've ever needed to do was maintenance. Hey, it's got a lift on it. Guess what? That wasn't needed. That was my choice. Okay, it's got bigger tires on it. Guess what? That wasn't needed. That was my choice. All I've ever needed to do was maintenance. I haven't had to fix anything. And if it was a repair, it was honestly minor enough that I don't even remember it. Um, Cars today don't do that. They they're locking up. Now they're locking up at 20, 30, 40, 50,000 miles. They're running 0W8 or 0W20 oils in them. They're telling you, oops, we messed up. You need to go back and put 0W40 oil in it, something that's thicker, that's going to be more protective. You know what? All that's another topic again. I don't want to drive an iPhone. Okay. I don't want all these computers on my car that track every move that I make and that can drive for me. I just want an old-fashioned car without a computer. I like a button and a lever. If I want to turn on the radio, I want to push a button, not an ice screen. If I want to turn on the air conditioner, I want to slide a lever. I'm old school like that. Mechanical operations. Okay. If something's broke, I can fix it myself. I don't have to take it somewhere instead of having a computer where the whole car doesn't work. Okay. A friend of mine, his key, the battery in his key went out and he was stranded on the highway because his car wouldn't crank because the battery in the key was dead. Are you kidding me? And I like old school stuff. A man needs to honor their word, deliver a product, provide a good service, and pass on a good world to the children. Look, you and I both, we need to step up. We need to demand more from ourselves. And we need to demand more from our community. You need to honor your word, deliver what you say you're going to deliver, help your neighbor succeed, and let's hold liars and thieves accountable. We're going to have more of this when I talk about real evaluations of protection dogs versus sport. We're going to have more about this, about some things that I see in the canine community and some of the sports where they talk about abuse. We're going to talk about a lot of issues about untold truths, whether it be canine behavior and drives. What is a drive? I see people talking about drives. They don't even know what a drive means. A drive is a behavior that's done, that it's expressed for the self-preservation of the species. It's a motive. Okay, what motivates the animal to do that? We'll have more of these topics. Y'all take care and have a blessed day.